So while Amazon forces employees back to the office a full 5 days a week, JP Morgan demands return to office compliance. One company is crushing it within the talent wars. Zillow CEO just revealed how they get 4 times more job applications than before they went remote. Their employees work from all 50 states instead of just a handful of cities. So is this the death of traditional office culture? Are we watching the biggest workplace transformation since the Industrial Revolution? What if the companies forcing people back to cubicles are making the most expensive mistake in modern history? Let's dive in and talk about it today. Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer, and here at Startup Hack, we train software developers and build custom software solutions for companies. With a decade of executive leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years in software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. So the battle lines are drawn in corporate America. While giants like Amazon, Meta, and Apple are dragging employees back to the office, smart companies like Zillow, GitLab, Shopify, and a lot more are doubling down on remote work. And the results to me are staggering. Today, we're going to dive deep into why the smartest companies will always remain work from home and why the return office crowd is about to learn some very expensive mistakes, in my opinion. So now, first of all, this is a quote from Zillow CEO, and I want to pull up the article here and talk a little bit about it. So Zillow CEO doubles down on remote work model, quote, "There is talent everywhere in this country." Right? And so Zillow has gone all in on its remote first approach to work with a surge of new applicants to open jobs as a result. So it goes on to talk about this, and I'm going to give you my take on this as well. But he says, for us, seeing a huge benefit in recruiting, we now have employees in all 50 states, whereas before we had them only in a handful. There is talent everywhere in this country. And I totally agree with that. I couldn't agree with that more. And so he says we're now having 4 times the number of job applications for every job we had versus what we had before the pandemic. And that's a 400% increase in the talent pipeline. So when you can hire from anywhere, you're not competing just with a dozen companies in your city. You're choosing from the very best talent globally. So as I've built all of the companies that I've built over the years, I've always experienced firsthand that the remote first approach let us hire brilliant network engineers from other places who have not actually had to move then to relocate to accept the job. So he goes on to say there's talent everywhere in the country, and it isn't just a nice quote. It's a competitive advantage that office-bound companies simply cannot match. So while Amazon limits their hiring pool to people willing to commute to Seattle, Zillow is cherry-picking the best talent from coast to coast. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat that I personally think that anybody who says that you can only be productive in the office doesn't know how to manage employees. I think it's a lack of skill in management, not an inability to actually become more efficient and more innovative. So everybody keeps saying under the innovation banner, got to have them in the office so they can be innovative. I guarantee you my companies are every bit as innovative as a lot of them. Now, I get if you're SpaceX and you're building a rocket, working from home probably doesn't really make sense. If you're Tesla and you're testing out the latest model to see how long batteries last, again, probably not going to work super well in a remote environment. So I understand that there's very specific companies that do require people to be in the office. Totally get that. But if you're building software, majority of those can be done from remote. Now, Buffer's 2022 survey found that 86% of remote workers prefer fully remote or almost fully remote work over hybrid or full-time office arrangements. Stanford University research showed remote work boosted performance and productivity up to 22% over in-office work. And that's not a small increase. That's massive. I've always found that every time that I've had to commute versus when I've worked from home, I end up spending the most amount of the time that I would have with my commute working, which then ends up meaning more work. So remote workers report 77% greater productivity with 30% completing more work in less time, according to an SHRM data. So when I've built my past companies, the core networking algorithms, our developers were more productive during non-traditional hours than they were focusing without office distractions, right? The myth that office presence equals productivity is being shattered by actual performance data across thousands of companies. So why do companies like Chase and Amazon and all of those? It's because they don't know how to manage their employees. Their companies have gotten so large that they don't know how to manage them. So companies measuring output instead of seat warming are discovering that their remote teams consistently outperform their office-bound counterparts. Now, I was working for a company at the time that demanded that we be in the office full 5 days a week. And when they hired me, I said, look, I'm going to do my team at least 1 day a week remote. And it was kind of a negotiation on whether they were going to hire me as a manager of the software development team. And so as I negotiated back and forth, we got 4 days a week, 4 days in the office, 1 day at home. Then the pandemic hit. And overnight, we had to shift to at home. At the time, we were running a very, very, very strict Scrum model. And as we did that, we found that our productivity increased 40%. So this is just my team, but 40% on, and this was a large team, right, of 16 developers. We increased 40% moving to work from home, to where management agreed that there was no sense in ever coming back to the office even after the pandemic. So companies save on average of $11,000 annually per part-time remote employee, translating into a 21% profitability according to a recent survey. Zillow's office footprint in Seattle shrunk from 386,000 square feet to just in 2019 to just 113,000 square feet by 2024. And that's a massive overhead reduction. 34% of employees in a 2019 Owl Lab survey said they'd take a pay cut for a remote position. Imagine negotiating from that position of strength as a company. Real estate costs in major tech hubs have skyrocketed, but remote companies can invest those savings into talent, technology, and growth. So when I've scaled my companies, avoiding expensive office leases meant we could afford better developers and more robust infrastructure. The other part is when I went out to go seek investment, one of the number one questions investors always asked was whether we had a lease. And every single time, and I probably met with over 50 different investors through the time that I was working on previous companies. And when I did that, every single one of them unanimously said, stay work from home. So Wacksman said it's an offense for us. It's a strategic approach that allows us to recruit nationwide. So this is another quote from Zillow CEO. He said, we leaned in early, and again, we have pivoted the company. We didn't start the company this way. And what that means is you have to rebuild the cultural norms around that. So he said they had to make some changes, but they don't regret it. Remote first companies are developing superior collaboration tools, communication systems, and performance measurement frameworks. One of the first things I tell my teams all the time is don't get stuck in a silo. Jump on a call, use those platforms. And I don't care what you use. I don't love Slack. We use Google, but you can use Teams. You can use, you can even use, there's lots of them, right? There's no excuse to not use these. But remote first companies are developing superior collaboration tools and communication systems. Zillow hosted 79 retreats last year at their Seattle office alone. They're being more intentional about in-person time rather than defaulting to daily office requirements. So the CEO says the flexibility that comes, the collaboration that we get, and the intentional time we have together really gives us the best of both. So companies like GitLab have been all remote since day one with over 1,300 team members in 65 countries, proving that it isn't just a pandemic response. The future belongs to organizations that master asynchronous collaboration, not those clean industrial age office models. Now, if your company has systems that aren't connected, reach out to us because here at Startup Hack, our specialty is connecting systems to help your company work to maximum efficiency. So check out startuphack.com/Spencer. And one of the great parts about that is because we're remote, we can work with anybody in the country. See how that works? So while Amazon, JP Morgan's, and others who are implementing these really strict return to office policies, remote first companies are becoming talent magnets. They're increasing both the quality and the diversity of the hiring pipelines and of their talent. Shopify's digital by default model allows their 5,000 plus employees to work from home indefinitely, giving them access to global talent pools. Spotify's work from anywhere program lets team members choose to work where they work best, whether that's at home, at the office, or at times somewhere else entirely. Companies like Twilio, Zapier, and Groove have been remote for years and consistently attract top-tier talent who prioritize flexibility. So in my 25 years in tech, I've never seen such a clear competitive advantage. While others fight for local talent, remote companies recruit globally. Remote workers report significantly higher job satisfaction, leading to increased employee engagement and reduced turnover. I know a lot of people who will pass on a job that they have to commute to being able to work from home. When employees can structure their days around productivity rather than arbitrary office schedules, both performance and morale improve dramatically. Work from home allows for better work-life integration, reducing stress, and improving mental and physical health outcomes. One of the things that I love that's been so funny about watching Amazon and JP Morgan do these strict return to office policies has been how people are reporting that they are commuting to the office just to then have meetings with people in other offices that they could have just as easily done at their desk, that none of their team are actually at their locations. So companies like GitLab and Zapier have built entire cultures around remote work, and this creates a stronger bond. The cost of replacing a skilled employee often exceeds $50,000. So remote remote work's retention benefit provides a huge ROI. Remote teams are forced to document processes, systemize communication, and build better operation frameworks. And this creates more scalable business anyways. So I really just can't stress enough how much any company I ever build will always be remote, unless I'm building something that requires people to physically be sitting in an office together. To me, the advantage of remote is very, very clear. And frankly, I have always loved working remote. You notice that, like, this is my office that you're seeing here, folks. There's a chessboard back there because my 12-year-old and I like to play chess, right? And sitting back there because I got set in here. And so, like, you see that, to me, my family is my priority, and to be able to work closely with my family while still being able to work hard. Guys, I'm working really hard. I'm making videos for you guys every single day, and I'm doing research, but I'm also running a full consulting firm, and I can do that because I don't waste any time in the car commuting to the office. Remote work eliminates commuting. It reduces carbon footprints. It supports corporate environmental goals. Office real estate represents one of the largest fixed costs for most companies, and remote work converts this variable to where I can pay my employees more. Remote work allows employees to design optimal work environments. I can set up however I want to. My work setup's over here. My recording setup's over here. My kitchen's right behind that wall, right? This is a flexibility that you cannot get working in the office. So this is from Zillow CEO. He said, if we were starting in 2025 and we had this clairvoyance of how this had already been working, I feel like we would have started from remote first. Companies building remote first cultures now are developing the operational frameworks that will dominate the next decade of business. While return to office companies fight yesterday's battles, remote first organizations are preparing for tomorrow's opportunities. The next generation of workers expect flexibility. Companies clinging to office mandates will struggle to attract young talent. Remote work resilience proved invaluable during the pandemic and will be crucial for future disruptions. The smartest companies aren't just adapting to remote work. They're using it as a competitive weapon to outmaneuver slower, more traditional companies. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd love to have a great discussion. So make sure you leave a comment down below and make sure to like and subscribe. Here at Startup Hack, I love to have a great discussion, and we love to train software developers as well as to build custom software solutions. So reach out because we'd love to help. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer, and here's some great information about some of our services. Hi, I'm Spencer, a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and 25 years in software development, I've transformed technology teams and products for businesses just like yours. As your fractional CTO, you get the strategic guidance of a seasoned technology executive without the full-time commitment, perfect for companies ready to leverage cutting-edge technology without expanding headcount. My team at Startup Hack has already built advanced AI agents for small and medium businesses, automating complex workflows and delivering advanced ROI to human workflows. We specialize in creating custom software that connects your systems into a single coherent technology ecosystem. Our development approach focuses on tangible business outcomes. For one client, we developed AI-powered workflows that cut days off of human processes. For another company, by connecting multiple systems, we reduced processing time to increase their ROI by over 75%. We don't just write code, we architect solutions that scale. Whether you need cloud system architecture, data integration between legacy systems, or custom AI agents that automate your unique business processes, my team delivers results that exceed your expectations. Having led technology for a lot of companies and launched 7 successful brands of my own, I bring battle-tested expertise to your business challenges. Our specialty is turning technological complexity into business advantage. So if you're ready to harness the power of AI and custom software to drive your business forward, let's connect. Together, we'll build technology that doesn't just solve today's problems, it positions you for tomorrow's opportunities. Technology leadership, decades of experience, AI powered. Reach out today and we can help you. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer.